Over the past few months, the way all of us live and work has shifted dramatically. Employees are working from home, some for the first time, and some of us might just keep working from home permanently. So what does that mean for setting up a comfortable and productive home office that works for us now and into the future? I'm Nikki with Ergotron, and we brought in two experts to answer that question. Kirsty and Craig Chasen are experienced ergonomic pros. Between the two of them, they have decades of experience helping people do their work in a way that doesn't cause physical pain or discomfort and can help people be more productive. If you're working from home at your kitchen counter or on your couch, we've got some advice to help you do that more comfortably. If you've been experiencing pain in your back, neck, or shoulders, we've got some information that could help. And if you're wondering how to set up a home office that will work for you long term, we'll get to that as well. So let's dive in. Kirsty and Craig, thank you both so much for sharing your expertise with us. Today, we're talking about how to create a comfortable and productive home office. But before we get into that, I'd love for you both to share a bit about your background. Kirsty, would you like to start?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nikki. I am otherwise known as the traveling ergonomist to many people in the industry. I've been working in ergonomics now for just over 10 years. So I studied ergonomics and human factors at Loughborough University and have traveled the pretty much the rest of the world in the last 10 years, working with clients on corporate ergonomic programs, everything from doing ergonomic assessments all the way up to leadership training and how to get ergonomics implemented in businesses. So now I'm the traveling ergonomist, and I do very much the same, travel around the world, imparting ergonomics knowledge.
Awesome, thank you. And Craig, what's your background?
Well, it's a little bit more extended than, of course, Kirsty's, but in 1993, I was a safety manager, and I got charged with trying to understand why the workers' compensation costs for a 800-employee company were over $1 million a year. And it turns out they were due to ergonomics-related injuries, and I knew nothing about what that meant. Well, as I investigated it, I started to learn a little and felt very empowered when all of a sudden I realized that if someone reported their discomfort to you, you could go work with them, and with the right changes and modifications, you could not only get rid of the discomfort, but prevent a workers' comp claim from happening.
Thank you both for that background. So let's get into it, and we'll start off with the basics. What are the basics of working comfortably? Kirsty, what do you think?
Good question. I think there's quite a few misconceptions when it comes to ergonomics and setting up your environment and your workplace. And one of those misconceptions are that you need to sit bolt upright in this really rigid position. And in actual fact, the whole premise around ergonomics is movement and actually getting yourself sat in a slightly reclined position. What that allows you to do is to open up the hip flexors, open up the chest, get better blood circulation around the body, more oxygen around the body, and just to be in a much more comfortable position. So you want to aim to have your feet flat on the floor, about a 2 or 3 inch gap between the back of your knee and the front edge of the seat. Keep your desk around that natural elbow position. So when your hands are in your lap, keep your desk around that sort of height. Keep your monitor at eye level, and then keep your tools close to you so they are not unnecessarily stretching. Our posture is driven by two things, our hands and our eyes. And so if our monitor and keyboard and mouse are too far away, we naturally will lean forwards to reach those devices and put us into an awkward posture. So bring everything close to you, sit back in a relaxed position, and you should be good to go.
Perfect, thank you. Craig, what are your thoughts about that? What are the basics of working comfortably?
I think one of the most basic factors in a comfortable workstation, whether it's at home or in the office, is being able to have adjustability so you can put your components of your workstation in the positions that Kirsty just outlined as being beneficial. And for me, the one that is the most prevalent in that it's not adhered to is the height of your keyboard and mouse. the mouse and keyboard should be positioned at seated elbow height.
Okay, so if that's the basics of working comfortably, what happens when people don't do that? What are some common aches and pains that you anticipate people might experience? Kirsty?
I think a couple of different issues. So, and certainly as we're coming back to the home office or home office setup, I think people will start to suffer with some lower back pain and certainly some upper extremity issues. So neck and shoulder and wrist issues. I think those certainly will be prominent issues as we move forward if we don't set ourselves up correctly. I think a lot of people assume if they haven't got pain right now that they're fine, that they're never going to suffer with anything. But actually, just a few days of sitting in awkward postures can cause some discomfort and pain as well.
Yes. And Craig, what about you? In your experience, what's a common cause of pain or discomfort as people work?
What I notice mostly in home office workers is they don't take breaks. I mean, it is unquestionable to me that people who work from home are working harder than the people who work in the offices. Man, they just don't quit. They go on and on and on. And that's really difficult because you need that recovery for your muscles and just something to do differently.
Absolutely. And speaking of relieving muscle tension, Kirsty, you'd mentioned in a previous conversation that you'd adapted a piece of furniture to make it more ergonomic. Could you tell that story?
Yeah, so I'm right now in the dining room downstairs just because it's better lighting, but upstairs is where I do most of my focused work when I'm working on my laptop. And I noticed because I'm using my dressing table, which has a drawer underneath it, I was using my laptop and my keyboard and mouse with shrugged shoulders, and after a couple of days of working that way, I was getting some neck and shoulder discomfort, and I thought, this has got to stop. I'm an ergonomist. I need to fix this issue. And so I simply unscrewed 4 screws at the front edge of my drawer, took off the handle, put my keyboard and mouse in the drawer itself, and instantly my shoulders were dropped, honestly, a significant amount, a good couple of inches. And now I can sit with my eyes at eye level and my hands in my lap.
That is really a great approach. I admire people that make those creative modifications, even though I have seen some wild stuff in home offices. And it reminds me from the prior discussion as well that I used to get kind of saddened when I was sent on an evaluation by an occupational medicine provider working on someone with a workers' compensation case or something that had gotten bad to the point that they were going to do surgery. So they put always an ergonomic evaluation so they know exactly what the worker is going to be subject to upon their return. And what I noticed was that when I did the evaluation for this poor individual that was going in for carpal tunnel release or trigger finger or whatever, that the recommendations I made for them at that time were no different than the recommendations would have been 4 months prior, before that injury had become such a detriment to the individual or required surgery. So early intervention is definitely our friend.
Yes, thank you, Craig. Well, I'm glad we're having this discussion. You know, a lot of people out there are doing the best they can to create a comfortable home office. So for those who are working on their kitchen counter, at their dining room table, or with their laptop sitting on their couch, what are some of the things that they can do to make that space as comfortable and as ergonomic and as productive as possible? Kirsty, what's your advice?
So I think it depends on the environment you're finding yourself in, whether that's the living room, the dining room, or your bedroom. Then we can kind of accomplish a more neutral posture. And when I talk about a neutral posture, I literally mean feet flat on the floor, hands in your lap, shoulders down and relaxed, elbows by your side, and your head looking forward. That's a pretty neutral posture. It's very simple. So whatever chair environment you find yourself in, just try to encourage that kind of posture. If you've got a table or a desk, even better, and you'd want to prop up your laptop with either a proper laptop stand if you've got one, but if you haven't, just use some books and a box to prop that up, and connect an external keyboard and a mouse, because then you can maneuver your keyboard and mouse position as well as the monitor position at the same time as well.
Awesome. Craig, so what do you think is an important consideration for a comfortable, ergonomic, healthy home office setup?
The most important word in ergonomics to me is adjustability, making sure that you can position things in varying different positions, unlike the standard positioning you see, for example, in a 30-inch desk. The anthropometrics of our bodies say that even two people at the same height are going to have different dimensions in their upper arm length, in their arm length overall, and things like that, which will affect where their work tools should be positioned for the greatest comfort.
Yes, adjustability is key. So many of us have been working from home for a while now, and some people might just continue working from home permanently. What should people start thinking about to make sure their home office is comfortable and productive now and into the future? Kirsty?
Yeah, there's a few things, and it's really funny that we're having this conversation because a lot of my friends who have never listened to my advice in the last 10 years are now calling me every day saying, Kirsty, help us. What equipment should we be buying? How do we set up our workstation at home? So now I'm the favorite person. I'm sure Craig's the same, which is great. It's great for ergonomics. I think in terms of the work setup, certainly, doing these little ergonomic hacks throughout the weeks that we're working in these first few weeks is good. Adding our laptop on top of boxes and things like that are really, intuitive, easy things to do. But ultimately, they're not perfect. And we may need to start to invest in better products. And not only what we see on the workstation in terms of laptop, keyboard, mouse, chair, and desk, but that whole ecosystem around us. So lighting, environment, temperature, that noise distraction, that's equally as important as just the device setup, because that encourages a more productive environment for us.
Thanks, Kirsty. And Craig, what do you recommend that people think about as they're creating a permanent home office?
So adjustability, I said earlier, is key. It is, in fact, but you can go and get an adjustable desk, and it may not really go as high as you want, or maybe not as low as you want. So the adjustable table, if you're going for that, make sure it gets up to the elbow where you need it. Be a more thorough and exacting buyer for the long term.
Thank you, Craig. And before we wrap up, Kirsty and Craig, is there anything else you'd like to mention?
I think we talked about quite a good few topics there, Nikki, which is great. I think probably the last thing to mention is movement. No matter how well set up you are at home or in the workplace, or how much equipment you have, how much ergonomic equipment you have, the more movement, the better. And so I would recommend 2 to 3 times an hour for 30 to 60 seconds. And if that's too many breaks throughout that hour, then certainly 5 to 7 minute break every hour is a really good format to have throughout your day.
Movement, absolutely. Craig, is there anything else you'd like to share?
What she just said, of course, is exactly right on, and it will prevent what we call static postures, a posture that you don't move from that is bad, maybe not because of the positions, but just because you haven't moved. You also want to have things positioned where they should be, so that even if you do work hard and long, as I know every work from home employee does, you won't be injuring yourself. And my foremost concern, and the area that I harp on the most, is what they call Chasen's proclamation. And it goes as such: the single most common cause of upper extremity discomfort in computer users is working with the wrists higher than seated elbow height. That, if you can remedy that, the rest will fall into place.
That's fantastic. Kirsty and Craig, it's been so wonderful chatting with you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. If anyone would like to find you online, how would they do that?
Thank you so much, Nikki and Craig. It's been great to be with you. To find me, I guess I'm all over social media right now, so you can just type in The Traveling Ergonomist or Kirsty Angra on LinkedIn, and you'll find everything else on there. My website is www.thetravelingergonomist.com, and you can also find all sorts of info on there.
And Craig, where can people find you?
Thanks. My website is www.chasengroup.com. Chasen is spelled Chasen. I have social media exposure, but at my website, you'll find that I am now focusing and dedicating my work to home office ergonomic evaluations. Thanks very much, Nikki.
And there you have it. Thanks again to Kirsty and Craig for sharing their expertise with us. If you need help creating a workspace that works for you, at Ergotron we have a wide variety of professional-grade ergonomic solutions that enable you to work comfortably. Our height-adjustable standing desks come in numerous sizes, so you can find the right solution for you and your space. Our monitor arms help you raise 1, 2, or more monitors off your desk, so you can reclaim space on your desk, and you can get your monitor at the right height for you. We have several options for monitor stands and a laptop stand to lift your screen and get it into a better position. We're here to help. If you check out ergotron.com/work from home, you'll find a variety of resources that can help you create a workspace that works for you. If you have any questions about finding the right product for you or your space, we can help with that too. You have the option of emailing a photo of your workspace to our customer care team, and they can help you determine what would work best. You can find those details at ergotron.com/work from home or email customerservice@ergotron.com. Thanks for listening and keep moving forward.